organizations like Wi-Fi now putting conferences like this together that can propagate a lot of the information that you all need in your planning and to account for the path that Wi-Fi is on, which continues up and to the right. So my name is Edgar Figueroa, and if you're not familiar with Wi-Fi Alliance, our tagline is a tourism worldwide organization that brings you Wi-Fi. So our team put together just a few topics to give you the broad strokes at a very high level of where Wi-Fi is and where it's going for the foreseeable future. We'll touch a little bit on the short to mid-term programs that we're working on, but certainly, hopefully, we'll give you an idea of the terrific opportunity that we still have ahead. And of course, that's a big challenge. It's all opportunity, and it really will only come to pass and will succeed only if we can execute and execute well like we have for the past 15 years. So if you're not familiar with Wi-Fi Alliance, we're a worldwide association, the organization that originally established Wi-Fi as a very reliable technology. And currently we have about 700 companies that are members worldwide, including, as you mentioned, all of the Americas, Europe, Asia, etc. So very good representation geographically as well as up and down the ecosystem from core technology providers all the way up to service providers. The original galvanizing reason for the alliance to come together was devices wouldn't work together well across different brands. And at the time, back in 1999, Wi-Fi wasn't without a serious threat or competitor technology. We solved that problem to the extent that today we have about 35,000 different product models that have come through interoperability certification. And of course, that's one of the main reasons that Wi-Fi has succeeded so well, is that things just work together. They work together across brands, they work together even across time, I often mention, because devices today work with devices we bought a long, long time ago. And then one of the things that keeps Wi-Fi going is we're very committed to continue to invest in Wi-Fi. And today we have in the range of about 20 different new enhancements to Wi-Fi that are on our roadmap. So these 700 companies are working very hard to continue to stay ahead of the demand. Yesterday I was on a panel that when we were talking about the spectrum crunch and the demand on spectrum generally. And I mentioned to folks when Chairman Janikowski was the FCC chairman a few years ago, he sort of put a lot of attention on himself on FCC when he said that there was a looming spectrum crunch that was just a couple of years away. It was this dark cloud that created a lot of energy to go address and talk about this topic. The reality is that Wi-Fi has always stayed ahead of that demand. In case you don't know, today's Wi-Fi delivers gigabit per second speeds, and we're working on further enhancements to that are just coming even this year. That's not to say that there isn't a need for more spectrum, but it is to say that the Wi-Fi community is cognizant of that landscape. We're very aware of the demand and the applications that are, the applications and the network density that continues to grow. And so we're doing a number of things across a number of different parameters to make sure that Wi-Fi continues to stay ahead. So we'll talk about just a little bit of those generally, and hopefully through the rest of the conference you'll get more of a sense for that. But what a terrific success story was that the Wi-Fi has been. We'll talk a little bit about how you put numbers to paint the picture, but it's hard really to paint the full picture. I started off by saying that the interoperability was sort of the first issue that we went after, and now there's an installed base today of more than one Wi-Fi device per person in the world. 8 billion devices out there in use. I often mention that Metcalfe's law says that the value of a network increases as the square of the number of devices on the network. So the Wi-Fi network around the world is tremendously valuable when you account for how many devices are out there. And some of us, myself included, have dozens and dozens of devices at home. So our own personal network is tremendously valuable. And the reason that's important is because organizations like Wi-Fi Alliance continue to be committed to making sure you don't ever throw away that value, you just keep adding on to it. So this year we expect to ship about 3 billion devices, 3,000 million devices into the marketplace. Naturally you'd expect that we'd be in laptop. And, Wi-Fi has almost come to define the smartphone now. You probably wouldn't buy a phone if it didn't have Wi-Fi. But increasingly, we're seeing it deployed in more and more new types of devices. I'll mention a few in a little bit, but devices that really make our life better. And that's something that we should all be very excited about, because it's one thing to have a device that works well. It's another thing entirely to have a device that works for you, even when you don't know it. And that's what Wi-Fi is bringing about. Today, Wi-Fi, of course, carries more than half of all the mobile traffic, and in the range of 80% of all the worldwide data traffic. So it is the beast of burden of data, and it's becoming more and more the definition of the internet itself. And as I mentioned, adoption is growing and diversifying. So that's part of the reason, it shouldn't be surprising that we're having such success with conferences like this. And the commitment remains that we're going to make the user experience better and better, of course. Now, at a glance, this is just sort of to level set understanding about Wi-Fi. Interoperability and compatibility are built into every device that's Wi-Fi certified. It's been the case for over 15 years now. In case you don't know, of course, most devices that ship today operate in 2.4 and 5 gigahertz devices. In fact, Wi-Fi certified AC, today's version of Wi-Fi, is strictly a 5 gigahertz device technology, but overall, most of what's shipping is dual band 2.4 and 5. This year, we will start shipping Wi-Fi certified devices that also support 60 gigahertz. We'll call that WiGig certified. WiGig's been a brand that's been around for a while, but this will be the first year where we'll really open up the floodgates in the market with an interoperability program for Wi-Fi lines. And we've announced that this year is when that will start. And I think the world's taking notice, because there was just an announcement from Facebook that they're going to start experimenting. There was an announcement yesterday, I believe, that they're going to roll out across the city of San Jose WiGig for backhaul and applications onto endpoints. So those are the sort of revolutionary steps that can be taken when you go into new spectral domains, when you bring about a generational improvement like we'll see with WiGig. This is technology that will give us multi-gigabit per second speeds in the range of 7 gigabit per second speeds. And so we should all be anticipating that here later this year. There's also, Wi-Fi today is also peer-to-peer and infrastructure. We're all familiar with the networking application for Wi-Fi. WiGig is a good example of point-to-point applications. And these are becoming very popular for in many different environments. So you should be aware that that's also part of today's Wi-Fi. And in the dawn of IoT, I don't know if it's the dawn of IoT anymore. I think IoT has been here for a while, particularly with Wi-Fi delivering a number of devices that aren't traditional network devices. But as we expect to see more and more devices that are connected, security becomes more and more important. And with Wi-Fi, you get AES encryption and all of the authentication protocols included with every device that's certified. That's important because you need the full recipe, right? To have a technology that you can rely on, you need ease of use, security, a reliable connection, compatibility, etc. Right? And with Wi-Fi, you get a lot of the recipes, not all of the recipe that's needed for the full solution. And this is what it nets out. It's hard to see, but this is the amazing trend that we've been on with Wi-Fi growth. It's hard to put into words, but it's hard to imagine today a world without Wi-Fi, right? 15 years into it. And yet, in only a few years, we will be doubling the number of devices that we're shipping into the marketplace every year. And this is the expectation. Part of my message here today is that expectations are lofty, they're grand. But all of us here can work together to make sure that we execute on these opportunities. But the expectations are that in a few years we will continue on this path, and eventually we'll be shipping, somewhere north of 6 billion devices per year. So this happens because we understand what's needed. I understand in the room we have a number of operators and enterprises, healthcare folks. So we need all of your insights into what you need from Wi-Fi. Our commitment remains that we're going to do our best to make sure that we address all the different use cases that are so important. And we need that input, right? We are, in Wi-Fi lands, we're technologists who solve problems. But defining them, understanding what parameters are needed to make them succeed is all, very important. If part of the message here is an invitation for you all to let us know what you need. Certainly many of you have been involved in our industry for a long time, and you've been part of the success, and you realize that the challenges only get bigger, but we're happy to take on to them. So let's talk a little bit about the opportunity, right? What it is that we're referring to and preparing for in the next few years. So today already, I just want to level set what is the current state of things with Wi-Fi. So absolutely, I haven't talked to an operator yet that doesn't have a Wi-Fi strategy. In many cases, in most mobile devices and tablets, it's the connectivity option that's carrying most of the data that's going through the device. I mentioned WiGate certified AC. This year, in a few weeks, in fact, we're going to launch the second release of Wi-Fi certified AC. And in that release, you'll find things like multi-user MIMO and the use of 160 megahertz channels. So there'll be, a notable increase in capacity and in speed that's going through AC, and that will continue to keep us ahead of the demand for Wi-Fi networks. And it's also going to be a nice complement to some of the citywide Wi-Fi initiatives that we've heard a lot about, right? You probably heard about Lincoln NYC and the developments going on in India and elsewhere, where cities are taken to Wi-Fi to really bring connectivity to the masses. It's a very appealing mobile option for fixed line service providers. I heard that the Link NYC connections are founded on dark fiber all the way out to these telephone booths. So it's a terrific 1-2 punch, right? To have both of those, the terrific backhaul with that fiber connection, and then Wi-Fi with AC. You'd expect that experience to be, an amazing experience with connectivity, and that's my understanding of what folks are seeing in DC. I heard a story directly from a New York Times reporter who said that who was at an event I attended, and she said that the Wi-Fi on the Link NYC was better than her Wi-Fi at work. So she would often just go and have a coffee right by one of these booths and be connected, that way. But it's a good example of what's possible. My understanding is that with a lot of these rollouts, we're also seeing Passpoint built in. If you're not familiar with Passpoint, this is a solution for seamless onboarding onto a network with a secure full WPA2 AES secure connection, with your device automatically connecting you on to the network. And it also, on the back end, allows service providers to set up roaming agreements that can be effective around the world. So it's another example of the innovation that, and our commitment to making sure that we're addressing the needs of all the different segments, including service operators. And that's particularly important in this era of service operators. The very definition is changing, right? Because this hotel is a service operator to some extent, right? All kinds of venues are becoming service centers and monetizing in all interesting, novel ways. So we're doing all of those things are sort of here and now. They're examples of where Wi-Fi is creating opportunity in and of itself. We're also playing a leading role with Wi-Fi as a connectivity option in healthcare and transportation, increasingly in architecture, in automotive. One of the things I've talked about a lot is that it's interesting to see when you see commercials for big trucks, products that cost in the range of $50,000, and they spend most of the commercial talking about Wi-Fi, a component that's in the noise as far as what it costs for that component, but the value it brings to the user is certainly notable, right? So these are all sort of examples of where Wi-Fi is revolutionizing some of these product categories, bringing about tremendous value in the connectivity experience, and really becoming an agent of change, even in terms of service offerings. So the reality is, even today, you don't need to imagine a Wi-Fi world because you're living in it. You're taking advantage of it. if sometime back we tried to bring attention to this by having a day without Wi-Fi, and you know, I'm sure none of us would want to go through that. But we do live in a world of Wi-Fi. It's here, it's now, and it's not going anywhere. I do want to mention that we created this together. Wi-Fi Labs has gone through much effort to try to collect input, understand requirements. Our legacy is that the programs that we have, many of them are terrifically successful and you use them every day, are so successful because we understood what you need. And so it continues to be paramount that we understand what it is that you need. And further, you saw that there's a lot of opportunity for Wi-Fi. So it's becoming even more important for us to understand, how do you prioritize? You know, would you rather have Wi-Fi or would you rather have some other feature? These are things that our industry constantly grapples with. So we do need to understand that, you know, from you to the extent that you can help us bring clarity to all of that. Klaus mentioned that you're committed to connecting everything with Wi-Fi. That's very much our vision, is collecting everyone and everything everywhere. You know, we're probably never going to accomplish that because I don't know to what extent it's realistic, but it's a terrific vision. And it's a terrific vision that we've been able to make progress on. It's all about progress, right? And we continue to play a significant role in making sure that Wi-Fi indeed is on this trend. The opportunity is really without peer, right? The 34 billion devices are expected to be connected by the year 2020. So that's, you know, in 4 years, this is the opportunity we're looking at. The reason that is the case is it doesn't happen incrementally through growing markets where you already exist. There's just not that much there. It happens by opening up new markets and new use cases and offering value where people didn't even know they needed to get more value, right? In IoT in particular, you know, you see here that it's expected that by the year 2025 there will be, what, $11 trillion of opportunity, and some are expecting that even by within 5 years that in the Wi-Fi industry we will have a quarter of that opportunity if we execute. Connected home is an interesting one because it's sort of the sleeper portion of the IoT, at least in my mind. You know, we're seeing more and more products like water heaters that have sensors with Wi-Fi built in. I personally suffered from this. I think it was 2 years ago that my water heater broke. It was in the attic. I don't know why they built houses this way. But it leaked all, you know, down from the attic overnight onto wood floor, etc., right? Probably the cost of putting a solution that would warn you when something like that happens, maybe even before a symptom erupts, is probably in the range of $10, right? And you could protect thousands of dollars literally by doing that. Well, if you go to Home Depot, you can buy water heaters now that have that capability. But today, and who would think that that's IoT? Who would think that that's connected home? But it is. And you know, the grace in doing that is that you just plug it into a network you already have. You don't have to do anything different. You know, you can monitor the thing from your home. You can contact a number of people if you're not available. All of these things are already emerging, right? One of the things I also, you know, just as another example that I feel good about is, maybe about a year ago, I replaced my old irrigation system controller, which required an MIT PhD to program with a smart one, a Wi-Fi connected one. And you get an app with it, you program it, it's very intuitive, right? You can label things, flower. In fact, it asks you, in this zone, what do you have? You have vegetables, grass, etc. And it just knows, based on where you are, what your restrictions are in that city, whether it rained. The last thing I need to be doing in Texas right now is watering my lawn, right? There's been flooding in Texas this week, in case you didn't know. But this device is connected to the national weather system. It monitors what's going on in your particular zip code. And if it doesn't need to water, it doesn't water. If it needs to water 10 minutes instead of 20, it does that. And then it tells you, it reports out to you how that compares with a dumb device, right? So it tells you, this past month you saved 85% of the water that you normally would have watered because of this connectivity and this intelligence that's built into this. So it's a great example of a device that pays for itself in probably a year. You know, you're doing the right thing for the environment. You're building the value of your network at home. And guess what? You're part of the IoT era for doing all that. So, you know, it's the kind of thing that with Wi-Fi you can do because it's very economical, right? You have the legacy of all that compatibility across products. And it's the same reason that Wi-Fi is being built into airplanes, products with decades of life cycle, you know, life cycle that lasts decades. It's being built into irrigation systems because people know with groups like Wi-Fi Labs working on this, Wi-Fi is going to be here for a long time, as long probably as you're going to own that house. So it's just an example of the kind of things that are emerging with Wi-Fi connectivity out there. And of course, we talked about connected cities, and it's expected that this year already, there's going to be 1.6 billion devices that are going to be connected to connected cities. Not just users, right, but all manner of municipal services and devices. So the point here is there's terrific opportunity, whether you're a service provider, a software developer, or a core technology developer, there's great opportunity in Wi-Fi for us all. But we still have to do things right. The mission of Wi-Fi Alliance, of course, is to address any obstacle to market growth, to buttress this vision of connecting everyone and everything everywhere. And the way to be effective at that is to create a toolkit, right? We never envisioned that there would be water heaters and irrigation systems with Wi-Fi. But what we do provide is solid technology, secure technology, reliable technology, technology that will be here for a long, long time. And we'll remain committed to that. Our ask is that you continue to engage with us so that we can make this vision a reality. So let's transition into that very quickly here. I'm not worried about the next couple of years of Wi-Fi. We'll absolutely be on this growth trend, and we've already put the dominoes in place that are going to fall to make sure that we address the need for the next couple of years. One of them I mentioned is multi-user MIMO with 160 megahertz channels used. As part of addressing obstacles to market growth, we're talking to FCC, we're talking to other regulators around the world to make sure that the frequencies that are available to make use of that much, that channel bandwidth, 160 megahertz and 5 gigahertz. There's also the multi-gigabit per second speeds with WiGig that I mentioned. We're working on seamless authentication and onboarding into a network, right? Taking WPA2 for all its robustness and making it simple for you to bring in a light switch and a light bulb and a window shade that's connected into your network, devices that don't have any kind of user interface, but you can bring those onto your network securely. Also, there's a program that we're working on with to bring location and positioning information. This is very important in industrial applications in particular.